I'm beginning to run into a very simple, obvious conclusion about the Gospel of Marcion and the Gospel of Luke. I have been doing quite a lot of cross-referencing of the Gospel of Marcion and the three synoptic Gospels, and a few things should be addressed. First, the Gospel of Marcion is not related to Acts at all. It is, however, very similar to Luke. Second, the primary difference between Marcion and Luke is that Luke has a genealogy of Jesus, Marcion does not. Third, Marcion is more consistent with Luke, but the synoptic core that is in all three Gospels also exists in Marcion. And finally, one curious statement in the Gospel of Luke and Acts has always bugged me. It's the address to Theophilus. Luke 1 states, "Many have undertaken to draw up an account of the things that have been fulfilled among us, just as they were handed down to us by those who were from the first eyewitnesses and servants of the word." With this in mind, since I myself have carefully investigated everything from the beginning, I too decided to write an orderly account for you, most excellent Theophilus, so that you may know the certainty of the things you have been taught. Now, the question automatically is, who is this Theophilus person? And the book of Acts is addressed to the same Theophilus. That's how we know Luke and Acts were likely authored by the same person. Christian scholars assume that Luke was written in the 1st century, so they claim it's either figurative or someone that isn't so terribly important. The problem, of course, is why address it to him? If this text is meant to be a real gospel, why would you write it as a story and send it to an absolute nobody? Now, the name Theophilus means lover of God, so Christians have supposed that the name might be figurative. But let's break this down further. The author is saying that this is a trend. Many people are doing this, and apparently these people are sending them to Theophilus. The Luke author wants to make sure that the record is straight, and Luke calls this person the most excellent Theophilus. That sounds like a person with power. This person is somebody important. There is a very simple solution to this question. The answer is Theophilus of Antioch. Now, the claim is that Theophilus was the 7th bishop of Antioch and that his term was from 169 to 183. Marcion of Sinope is said to have died in 160, and what likely happened is that as soon as he died, people began questioning his canon. By the time Theophilus became bishop of Antioch in 169, there were serious questions about whether or not Marcion's canon should be modified, and somewhere during his tenure as bishop, Theophilus probably sent word to scholars to find the answers, and one of those answers was Luke and Acts. So here's where Marcion fits in the synoptic Gospels. The Gospel of Marcion was a bit more similar to Luke, and Marcion ends up making up the bulk of the Gospel of Luke. This would explain why Luke and Marcion are related, but Acts is not related. This would also explain why there is no genealogy in the Gospel of Marcion. The text it came from, the Gospel of Mark, did not have a genealogy. The synoptic core of Mark would be transferred to Marcion, and Marcion would eventually become Luke. There is only one problem to this hypothesis that I'm aware of, and that is that Justin Martyr seems to quote Luke. I'm in the middle of one of his truly massive texts right now, but the question boils down to, does Justin Martyr quote Luke or Marcion? If he quotes Marcion, everything lines up. I'm still working on Justin Martyr, and I'll be making a video on that in a few days. One other issue with Justin Martyr is the potential for Matthew quotes. They could be Marcion quotes as well, but if they are not, I might find something out very soon about Matthew. When I finally get done with Justin Martyr, we'll have a much better picture of what was available to him at the time. I've already found some real gold nuggets here, but if he can clear up the Gospels, that would be great.